Are you struggling to land a high-paying AI job or crack interviews in a rapidly evolving field? If you're not familiar with the tech-powering AI chatbots and machine learning models, then you might be missing out on what companies are paying six-figure salaries for. And that's why today we are breaking down foundation models and RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, the key technologies driving AI today. And if you're aiming for roles like AI ML engineer, AI solutions architect, or ML ops engineer, understanding this tech is crucial. This video is part of our AI/ML Track job-oriented program, where professionals have successfully landed high-paying jobs with top certifications. And that's why we wanted to give you a sneak peek of what's covered in the program, so that you can get an idea of the valuable skills you'll be learning and how they can help you level up your career. And also, if you're preparing for interviews, you can grab our free interview guide. It includes the top 50 AWS AI/ML interview questions, especially curated to boost your chances of success. These are real questions asked in interviews. You can download your guide from the description box as well as from the pinned comments. And also, if you're looking to break into the AI field, we are offering a free masterclass where an expert will guide you through a proven 3-step framework and a complete roadmap that's helped learners like Shrija, Mark, Debashish, Steve, and many others land their dream jobs in the AI field. So don't miss out. The link for the class is also provided in the description box as well as in the pinned comment. So now let's get started with the video.
Now, one slide which I want everybody here to master is the GenAI stack. Okay, look at the right hand side of this. It's talking about personas. So we all should know different kind of role works in your projects, right? So that could be data scientist, that could be app builder, that could be business people. Okay, that could be more people like people who are building projects, project team. There could be people who are doing operational activity. A lot of things are not here. So what you need to understand is you will get into one of the role. You don't need to be a coder always. You can be a coder. You don't need to be a coder. This course which K21 has put together is more generalized, that you learn a bit of coding. You'll also learn a declarative implementation. You can decide where to focus later. Currently, you get to very generalized like a foundation model. Later, you can go depth and become something as an expert. Personas are very important. That's a role which you'll translate into a job like you're into the business side. The second important thing is what is the stack which is given by AWS. Okay, so you can see that there are three types of the stack which they're trying to give you. One is basically the infra level. Now, infra level means you are trying to build your own foundation model, or you're into something very serious projects with your customers. So, in fact, anything to do with the infrastructure will demand strong, sound knowledge on machine learning. So, don't leave the big brother alone and make you feel that Gen AI, if I know I can rule the world. It is a very silly comment to make. And if somebody is telling it, he may not have worked on the subject. I am telling it out of my sheer experience on the ground. You can easily work with Gen AI if you're lucky enough, your project doesn't scope between multiple technologies. But later part of it, the ghost will catch up. So it's good. This course is really cool. This 50 hours, 60 hours you're spending, learn the majority of all the technologies, be a very generalist, get your certs done. When you get a project, get a job, you specialize in something which is going deep. And over a period of time, when I did my 5th or 6th project, that's when I figured out what are all this. Gen AI is just 3 years old. I've done some 3 to 7 projects. That's what is my experience. Okay. So infrastructure means if you want to create your own foundation model, the AWS gives you GPUs. GPU is not like a CPU. CPU is very small. You have one processor, two processors. So imagine 1024 processor given to you with all the deep learning stats. They're purpose built some infrastructure like your Trinium, Infantia. You have SageMaker AI tools, and they're giving you something called HyperPod like of tools. So what are all these? These are for infra specialists. Now these data scientists may have no idea about this infra, but what they do is because they're very good in the domain, they will collect the data. They will build this along with the infra specialist. And that is what you're seeing is an Anthropic Claude, Bedrock's Titan, Bedrock's Nova. It came out of a factory of an ML engineer. Okay, no rocket science. It doesn't come from a Mars planet. Somebody landed and you're using it. It came traditionally from a factory, and that factory setup, like it's not something which will do good. So, what is majority work you will do in a beginner course is your Amazon Bedrock. So Bedrock covers most of the activities you can do to consume all the foundation model. How do you do customization? Suppose you have a model built in other areas, you can import that model. You can build agent, you can build knowledge base or RAG, you can build guardrails. So as I told you, first off, make your theory strong. Okay. So Bedrock is foundation model as a service. It's serverless. It provides you all the foundation model built by somebody from the infrastructure side. And then when you want to build an application, right, you need an IDE. You need to connect to the data. Suppose there are multiple requirements, you have to connect them together. So there are so many things to do. That is Bedrock. So the features which you see at the left-hand side, which has got converted into a course, which has got converted into a labs, is all about learning one by one silos. But when you build it, you don't build it that way, right? So you'll have to bring them together. That's an art. It will take some time. Currently, learn one by one. You read A, B, C, D of English, and then you know how to build a noun, verb, then you make a sentence, paragraph, thesis. It go one by one, right? It takes time. This is an interesting space. Now, why is that an interesting space? People are the most laziest today, right? They don't want to even use Bedrock. They want to have an application which was built through Bedrock given to you. Those are applications which you can just use it, not worry about what is the backend. So there can be a lot of applications all of you will be building in the future for an industry. I showed you in one of the session a demo of something like a health scribe application which AWS releases. It's for clinical note taking. Like that, you can build Q business is you can build an applications in a generative AI through Q business connecting to maybe 100 plus different sources. But it can connect to SharePoint, Slack, SAP, Salesforce. If you learn Q business, you can build the GenAI applications connecting to the business application. The outcome could be a prompt based interface to that data source. The power of technology is to automate, make it do fast. So the applications can be categorized into two parts. One application is something like Q Business, Q Developer, which will be an intrinsic tool for any business developer. You should think about Q Business. Any developer today who are already building something in Java, Python, just jump into Q Developer. It will automate the code for you, etc. And the rest of the application like Q in QuickSet, Q in Connect, Q in supply chain management, the Party Rock, all these are applications given on a specific applications where you can automate. So let's start these steps. First tenet for all of you is about foundation of GenAI. Believe me, if you don't understand what is transformer, what is AI, what is ML, what is vectors, what is token, what is backpropagation algorithm, you don't know what is the cloud, what is infra, what is S3 bucket, what is EC2, please don't go and talk big things to an interviewer. There are a lot of cool content also there in the portal. Read them together. Give the weightage of this 50% out of 100. Because if you don't do this, you can't do the second one. If you are weak on the foundations, you can't tell when a use case comes to you. The number one you do, okay, portal is very extensive, right? So what you can do, Asma, is basically pick up the recordings of week one and just stick to learning all the concepts on whatever I've listed here, right? So those are also covered. Next, foundation of AI will be covered after the GenAI session is over, but some bit of AI foundation was covered in week one. So I'll tell you to keep it simple. For second one, it's your project, it's your lab. Imagine everything you're trying to do is a use case, right? Now, this use case You just give one small thought to the use case. How did you know that is a fitment to generative AI? The use case can be new, which is only like generating an image, that's so easy. That's because it's a lab. But if you go into a URL I have given you, again go back to recordings if you don't know that. In case you want to know, there is a solution library, there is a customer case study, read them. Okay. So first, any GenAI building starts with use case. You have to qualify the functional requirement which is coming from customer, whether it is, if you don't know zero, you can't qualify. So a lot of people tell I can build RAG and agentic AI without knowing what is GenAI. So spend some time. Okay, this is not a failed logic. This is a successful logic. I know that anybody who's talking about a transformer, who knows about vectors, what is the difference between vector, token, that's the curiosity. The more you learn, the better for you. And you have a great opportunity now. If you know zero, you missed all the class, no worries. Get hold of the portal, get hold of the recording. This is only two things required. If you don't know, I will also show a demo of a portal before I leave for the day. Just have a look at it so that it's part of the recording. So this recording will take care of that also, where to find these content, these 17 contents. Okay, so don't worry. Just be with me. The bolded text is important. Foundation, use case. So what next? You have to qualify the opportunity. If you qualify that this use case is GenAI, then you get into the world of foundation model. Imagine I don't know anything but for one foundation model, which is Bedrock Titan. So you will look very small. You should at least know what are the people who get the foundation model, what are the different variety. Now you might ask me a question, I don't have time and all this stuff. That's left to you. So do you want a dollar salary which is far higher than the median? You must take that sweat a little bit. We will cover the course, we'll give you the labs, you will get certified, but knowledge is power. It only comes through you reading it yourself, you taking that extra initiative that I must know as much as foundation model. I will challenge, I will ask questions, because this batch has got varied set of audience, beginners, middle level, very senior level. So it's very difficult for me to satisfy all of you, to be very honest. But at the same time, if each one of you know, if you are very experienced, you can learn 100 foundation models. If you're a beginner, you can learn 20. So you fit. But if you don't know foundation model, at least 12 of them. So 12 categorized like some, few text models, text to text, few text to image models, certain model which generates code. That's why I gave you a simple clue about pick Anthropic, pick Amazon, because you're in the AWS class. Just know these two first. The rest, if you get time, scrap through like you going through an Instagram page or a Facebook, and you keep watching posts like that, you read all the other foundation model. But when a use case comes, a customer will give you a clue. All my projects have worked. What I only do is go and ask customer more questions. Do you think I can use Amazon model? No, no, no. I have some people who know Cohere. Why don't you talk to that team? So you get clues from that. But if you don't know what is Cohere and all, then it looks, even if you don't know, don't tell it. That is on the lighter side. But you can figure it out on ChatGPT something, what is Cohere, right? It's another company which gives you foundation models. So foundation, week one, which is covered. Use case, it is not covered explicitly. Your labs, your customer case study, if you search for agents, customer case study, you just search for, go to Google. Suppose you don't know how to do it. Don't you think none of you are as smart as me? You can go and tell what are the Bedrock case studies in AWS. You will get the list. You don't need always somebody to spoon fed you. More you get spoon fed, you can't think. Okay, this or qualified girl. What is the next initial size? Imagine yesterday there were a lot of questions. How do I size? How do I price? Right? So that is why I put the cartoon. You will not find any magic wand, somebody coming and telling for this project, this is the cost. If that is available, please let me know. I have not seen, because I'm addressing some leadership team and big people. So I know like everybody is building one here and there. So that's the opportunity for all of us to get jobs. If everything is set, there is no job, right? So initial sizing means you look at the requirement, look at what metrics are they looking at, look at what are customer metrics, look at pricing reference, look at pricing calculator. These are some of the initial sizing just to know whether this project, what is the model which will be more suitable. There'll be a standard version, enterprise version, so which number of tokens. Now initial sizing you want to master by listening to 3-hour class is impossible. You want to know all the foundation model in 3 hours, nobody on the earth can know. So it's not that. You should know the layout. This layout is not available if you search, right? Basically, if I change the title from AWS to Azure, you can use this same title. Same thing you can use for any of the cloud provider. Ultimately, this is an effort to tell you how do I find a sequence. So now you can find with this is your map. You can find out the content which is suitable for you to do. So if you have fixed foundation, use case, foundation model, and sizing, the next step is to go and look at testing the FM. Imagine they asked a quiz, all of you told, I will select the FM, prompt it, check the FM needs enterprise data, look at hallucination. This can be very casual testing, right? So imagine once you have got that this is the foundation model I will be using, okay, and then you got some sizing done, just test it out in a very, very simple way. If you have a testing team which is already working, you will find that they're also doing a lot of FM with prompts, checking the FM. They will do a lot of testing. Now, when you do your first proof of concept or a project, you will find the cycle kicking in. Okay. When you're a learner, academically learning, I can always convince you, you have done a lab, but you can't connect the dots. Imagine the importance of these tenets. So you know that now you have got the sequence. What happens in a project? This is exactly a project lifecycle I use when something comes to me. This is not something very generic in nature kind of thing. Okay. After you test it, what do? You will apply prompt engineering techniques. So you should know why are you. So why? If you don't ask the question why, I know prompt engineering, I know zero shot, I have done this lab, I have done that lab. Whom are you trying to convince? Nobody. So once you have tested it, you want to go deep dive whether this particular foundation model can answer questions, because maybe I'm not asking the right questions, it's not answering. Can I apply different prompt engineering techniques to qualify this opportunity further? This happens because it's free. I don't have to spend money. I will always use prompt engineering first, and then I will do what we did. You will build the enterprise relevance to the foundation model with RAG or a knowledge base. So what that means, the foundation model, if it itself gives you the answer for what you wanted, you stop the project there. You don't have to go to the step 6 at all. Rarely happens. Okay. Generally, you will require a repository. It can be a PDF, Word document, structured document, unstructured document, to give some sense to the foundation model, which is dumb. Why am I calling it dumb? It can give you answer about everything, but it can't give you any answer properly for the enterprise. Unless you make it enterprise ready, there is no money on the table. Right? So you can't generally go to a customer and tell it will give you all kind of inputs, means the customer will laugh at you. Will telling like what kind of inputs will it give you? How does it know my documents? So making it enterprise ready is retrieval augmented generation. It is called as knowledge base in AWS because we are speaking the AWS generative AI apps. I'm keeping KB. If I'm in some other session, I would change KB to something else. Once you cross this, then you get into the world of agents. Okay. Does the project need multiple foundation model? Does the project require step-by-step integration? Does the project consume multiple application? For example, imagine like, let's take somebody in this chat who have been put to a project. Okay. So let's take Melinda has given us a lot of inputs. Let's take Asma. Okay. So Asma build an application on using prompt engineering to ask a question like what is the he what she what the what was done is there were some leave policy documents, PDFs and everything which was extracted like yesterday's lab. And now you are asking through the prompt, what is the leave policy of the company? Everything worked. So up to 6, you have been successful. Asma is successful. Okay. What if Asma asks the chat, can you help me to create, I want to apply the leave through the prompt. Think about this. If I ask the data about like what is the casual leave policy of my company, how many casual leaves, it is a very simple query. You can do it with RAG and prompt engineering. But if I ask a question, please apply 1 day casual leave. Now, this is not a simple question. Maybe your leave application is being handled by SAP. You need to update an application which is running on Oracle Human Capital Management. Now, by just asking one query, ask me if it can able to write, apply for a leave, get a manager approval, and get a workflow and a message back maybe in a day or whatever time the SLA is to really tell that your leave has been approved. But what am I typing? Please apply a leave. And after I apply a leave, I just want to look at leave balance and I want to look at what is my eligibility onto this, etc., etc. It can go on. So if it is a one liner, one approach, like no, you just have one thing to connect and ask informations, you can stick with RAG. But once the project has to consume multiple applications, be integrated, be cohesive, within one domain of leave, you can still use single agent. But if the leave has to really write on to this, plus that, plus this, and all these agents have to work together, it's called multi-agent. There are a lot of frameworks, strand agents, LangChain, they're all helping you. Bedrock gives you an agent framework. There's a third party strand agent. There's a LangChain framework. They all do the same. Yesterday you saw AI stylist. What does it do? It's got, you ask a query from a prompt, it goes to the agent, it orchestrates the different foundation model, it connects to the RAG just in time based on their query. Right? So agents and knowledge base will generally work together. Common sense. Because you will consume different type of, imagine bookings.com versus Singapore Airlines website. You want to book a ticket in Singapore Airlines, you'll launch into the Singapore Airlines site and book your ticket from whichever city. Maybe you want to fly from Tokyo to Singapore, you just go to Singapore Airlines website, you book it.
So I hope you're finding this video valuable and gaining some key insights into how these technologies work. So as I already mentioned earlier, this video is just a glimpse of what we cover in our AIML track job-oriented program, where professionals are landing high-paying jobs and top certifications. So if you also want to dive deeper and understand the exact roadmap to get there, we have a free masterclass where our expert will walk you through a proven 3-step framework and the complete roadmap that many of our learners have followed to land these dream jobs. So if you're ready to take your career to the next level, be sure to check out the link in the description box as well as in the pinned comment.
Suppose you go to bookings.com. What happens? It will show you all the airlines from where you can book from Tokyo to Singapore. Right? So now if you ask a question to yourself, how did bookings.com get data from all the airlines? It means the API is exposed from every website, which it's able to bring them together into one interface, which you're seeing it at the speed of light. That's how you're booking. But if you go to the individual website, you may not get better discounts, you may not get better kind of whatever mileage or points or whatever you call. So imagine the 7th point is all about agents. So it also, I wanted you to strongly fit to yourself. Okay. Now tenants as a document, this document what I've created was created for a overnight. So you may not find it elsewhere. So I will be passing this into K21. So you can use this content from as a reference point. Now, this is also a great way to tell why are you doing what you're doing, without which, even if you do 10 labs to me, 20 labs, you can't impress me. If you're not able to talk about a story about how a GenAI application built on AWS holistically, you still have a handicap of understanding the subject deep. So we will definitely make that happen, Bukola. Okay. So seventh one is all about agents. So 17, 7 out of 17 only we have reached. What are other ones? Okay. Eighth, you should get into non-functional requirements. It means if you're not able to know how well my application which I'm developing is secure, how well my application is scalable, how my application is going to be performance well done, how my application is going to really have sustainability, how my application will be good cost effective pricing, okay, how my application is operationally efficient of continuous management, you will be utterly flopping your application. Because, and the point number one, you have fixed your functional requirement. In point number two itself, if you observe, I put non-functional scoping is done a little bit it is done. But see, everybody wants to close a deal, right? What happens in a typical sales scenario? Some sales guy will visit a customer, you'll have an RFP, he will hurry through the people telling like I have to close the deal. So you have to quickly qualify the deal and with the architect and the data scientist and do some quick scoping and do some assumptions and push it out so that the deal is on the table. So you will do some bit of non-functional in the two, but detailed thing is done by a point number 8, designing of a generative AI applications. It's not simply seeing some diagrams. So we have a well architected framework given by AWS. This is not in the scope of today's course. You have to just understand a little bit about this. You cannot ignore any of these 17 points. Suppose you build the MVP, most viable product for your customers. You might want to have a 5% flavor of each of these points. You can't tell I will ignore non-functional requirement. What if the application is hacked? You will be in a mess. Little bit you can put. Then you can put roadmaps. Okay. Eighth point is about well architected. Then you can gather API requirements. We have not spoken much about this. So I've been a developer in Microsoft. I work with Microsoft as a builder, developer, and been a Java and Python developer for at least 12 years. We have still not ventured into APIs. Do you think somebody will go to the console and keep clicking all these buttons in a practical world? No. As you go across the classes one by one, you will have to use some frameworks. Now, all people who are from the business side, declarative, you can stay away from it. I'm talking about you must be aware of the API requirements. You can leave it to the builders or developers to build them. Security is non-functional. Absolutely, you're right. What are non-functional? Something you cannot see. Functional requirement can be seen. Non-functional requirement cannot be seen. And most of the problems in a project will come in the non-functional side because you will not think about it very well. So you by design first, deliver later. Your design should be perfect. So if you learn these points very well, I'm telling you, job will come to you. You don't have to search because these are all things which a quality professional will have. Somebody who's want to really learn, and nobody can teach you all these things. Sometimes it is just guidelines. A good course like what you're doing today, a good certification, then you will have to do that initiative. Okay, come back to the point. API requirements. Bedrock, Hello World program. What do we write first in Java? Hello World. Python, Hello World. Here also you can write a hello world program. Instead of you going into Bedrock, selecting a foundation model, going to the prompt and typing same thing, you can take it and write it in Python. Same thing, you can write it in Java. You can write it in .NET. Okay, so that is API. So Bedrock will expose you those APIs. Based on which foundation model you want to use, you can call that foundation model. We'll have a look at it. See, ultimately, APIs means that every service, 235 services in AWS, is exposed as an API. And you can use any of the frameworks. The famously used one is Boto 3, BOTO 3. It's a Python framework which is used. Just because something is used commonly doesn't mean that's the only one you should know. Most commonly used as a beginner, you don't want to get confused. So gathering API requirements is very important for automation because you can't go to the console and keep clicking every time. So the world is about API, and even the APIs you don't have to write today. The code will get generated through Q developer or vibe coding. Then you will just tell it what to do. It will build it. Okay. And also these API will help you to pass this via an API gateway where you can document what and all API is there for a project, and then you can integrate it with multiple applications. So API requirements, understand API as suppose you're building a project to connect you're building a retail generative AI application which has to connect to an SAP and build some kind of a plumbing outcome. You have to pull your data from some SAP and some other applications, etc. So here you can't go to the Bedrock and do things. No, you will build your UI, you will connect to those different sources, etc., etc. Right? So API becomes necessary. Yesterday you did RAG. There is some API for retrieving the content through the APIs. Everything in it, what you're doing through your labs, there's an automation agents. So you can do it through the Bedrock automation. When you go, you can use SageMaker AI. It provides you SageMaker Studio. So you have a lab Python code generation through the SageMaker Studio. Do that lab, you will understand point 9. But if you don't know these 17 points and keep doing labs, I will call that you will never be able to understand the subject. If you know, okay, I'm doing this, but when a use case comes, I will have to collect API for that use case. Okay. Next point. Control extensibility and complex projects. Projects are not easy. I can sell anything to you telling like, no, this is easy and all this stuff. But when a project comes, they might tell that I've already have a chatbot with me for last 10 years. Somebody will have a stern face, a CIO, or somebody will come and tell I'm already having an ML project. I want to enable GenAI on it. Okay. So whenever there's a complex project, it is only commonsensical thinking that you will go into SageMaker AI. Why SageMaker AI? Because it gives you a little more flexibility. You're shifted from Bedrock to SageMaker AI, feeling that I need more grounded. I need to really explore a lot more things. Okay, maybe I might require to really train it a little more rigorously. Bedrock is good, but here it gives me a lot more grounded because already the project is running in the world of AI. So think about that as SageMaker AI. We spoke briefly about SageMaker, which is a new tool from AWS to integrate different applications. Suppose you're building something on AI, ML, something you're building on Gen AI, you're building another application on analytics, and you go to the customer. In the past, in AWS, there's only one way. You'll have to build a data repository for each one of them. Today, with SageMaker, you can build one data repository which can be shared with all these people in a controlled fashion. So that is SageMaker. It is released only 4 months back. It's a new product. SageMaker AI, which was earlier called SageMaker, has been there for 20 years. It's a proven product. Bedrock has been there for 3 years. Okay, imagine new products leads time to settle down. 3 years is big in the world of IT. So Bedrock is settled. SageMaker is just getting settled. SageMaker AI and Bedrock is what you will most probably work on your labs or any course. Nobody knows about SageMaker much. Okay. So that is your 10th point. What is the 11th point? You will get into the delivery and ops strategy. If you don't have a control over the delivery, what you will release? You need the release pipeline to be controlled. You release something today and tomorrow there is a change management happening, a new feature asked, new foundation model released from the vendor. Do I have to go for it? New requirements from the customer. How do I pump it into it? And the confusion today is the project might be running on the Java with the DevOps, having a machine learning algorithm which is running on MLOps, and then you have a foundation model interface which is on LLM ops. Only God can save us. But there are methodologies available today. It is not very old, it's well controlled, but you must be aware. There are some topics we are covering on MLOps down the line. Okay, so you will be able to understand these methodologies, but know that knowing this is like knowing a blueprint of a subject. Without this, nothing. Okay, next point. If you feel whatever you did in this project is worth the product, or in the beginning you felt this project needs the foundation model which has to be fine-tuned heavily, go for fine-tuning or domain-based tuning. So you might earlier also decide in step 2, you might feel that when you're selecting a foundation model, which is use case, you're working on step 2 itself, you feel that this foundation model can be used, cannot have RAG and all. I have to fine tune it very well. You can decide that, or you can decide at the end of the project or mid of the project that it needs fine tuning because my requirement, okay, is requirement. So that is called domain based tuning. So all this we will see a demo. Okay, so you should understand the Bedrock, what and all you're seeing on the Bedrock interface and the labs you're seeing is being built by the product management team. They have no idea about a project or a customer. What I am showing is what am I doing with customers, real time-ish. So I am really not bothered about the product list. I am bothered about what will I deliver to my customer who pays me money, the paycheck. So if I know these 17 points, now I will look for where is that product, which is the service. I have to compose them. Is there an IDE? Is there a framework? Your thinking is absolutely on bang. So you should really marry these two worlds. A product world is to just learn feature, functionality, implementation. Project world is about controlling the uncertainties, looking at the architecture, etc. Okay. So after you're done, if you want to do, it's optional. 12 need not be done for every project. You can go for fine tuning. You can have a better model, etc. You can also have option 13. If you feel like currently, I am working on a project which is to get a foundation model on neurodivergent. This is the project I'm doing today. Now, why am I talking about this? Because there is no foundation model who understands autism to the core. No foundation model can attention disorders, which we all have in a small quantity, right, with social media. And all these higher mental syndromes. Now, what we are doing is we are training a FM because there's no FM available. FM will tell what is this, what is that, that's all. So sometimes, suppose you visit a customer and he's been retail, like you go to, for example, you go into a company which is doing Bank of America, which knows about banking for the last 30 years. They may decide that I'm going to build a FM on the domain of this banking structure, which I'm going to sell it. 13 is very expensive. Okay. Like a lot of people have to showcase their money. They might do 13. Please don't touch 13 unless it's absolutely required. Why am I doing? You get funded by some of the community, the World Bank or somebody who might fund you to develop something bigger. You can do it. But sitting at home and all, if you do, you will get a bill for $1 million, after which you will not work on AWS. That is on the lighter side. But don't go and create an FM. It's impossible for a layman to go and create FMs. There must be a case where You really know that, any manufacturing company like Cohere or all these people build that because that's a business. They sell it to us. Okay. 14th is to build UX strategy. Don't forget that if you don't have a good UX, what will people see? See, your app, the WhatsApp, they integrated Llama 3. That's how it is becoming quite a good UX strategy, right? If they have kept like download Llama 3 separately, nobody will download. Great packaging strategy by WhatsApp, telling that you can now use Llama 3, which is part of WhatsApp, right? So UX strategy can be multiple things. You're trying to create a UX standards. You can using vibe coding. In the AWS world, it's called Q developer. As a developer, you shift to Q developer, use vibe coding. You can build UX standards in parallel by using a lot of user guidelines which are there. Okay, multiple things. But UX strategy is a separate topic. Generally, nobody covers it. Imagine a prompt might not sit as a prompt. It might be within a web application or a mobile application. It might be triggered by a button click. You don't know. Those are UX strategies, coloring, etc., etc. Okay. If you crossed 14, then you go on engineering enhancements. Now, what is engineering enhancement? You will see in Bedrock. Bedrock has got around 113 features. And in your course, you might be covering 30, 40. A lot of things will be unleft or some things will be announced and reinvent in December. There's a never ending story for us, right? So engineering enhancement don't come. I will show you some examples of engineering enhancement post the talk. So we're good on time, 8:30, right? So engineering enhancement like could be like prompt catching, prompt builder, how to select the model, how to do better inferencing, small language model, building an IDE. These are small things they're trying to build on the top of all this RAG and this is to facilitate you. This is going to be always happening. So all of you work on tomorrow on these products and you'll tell this is not good, that is not good. All this feedback goes to the product management. So engineering enhancement is a smart thing. Okay. Nobody puts guidelines for any one of you that you should only learn this. Just that because we have short time, I'm talking to a humans who have with different backgrounds, beginner to the advanced level. There's a sense of confusion, ambiguity, getting lost, which is very natural. So what is important for you is if you've caught these points properly, you pick each one of them and do some guidelines and learning. And I would tell out of 17, 10 or 11 is already part of the course. Some of them may not have focus on it. You can learn yourself. Okay. Then comes to the most important point about not the non-functional side, but something generative AI faces as a problem. Please understand this. SLMs called small language models. Imagine you have a model of size which is maybe 50 megabytes, and you are building a foundation model on an IoT edge device, a small place. You might want to download from the master a small teacher model, a small model you can create, which can replicate the master model with some features and functionality which you can use. That's called small language model. Again, that's an engineering enhancement. Okay, imagine another engineering enhancement when the model can think and answer. Imagine now you go to ChatGPT, certain questions if you ask, I will think and answer, it will tell you. It doesn't give immediate answers. That is engineering enhancement. Okay. So this is 16th point is not non-functional requirement. Okay. Non-functional requirement we already covered. 6 pillars, lenses. This is very specific to the domain. IoT will have some certain set of standards to follow. AI will have a set of standards. So Gen AI, it is very important to understand responsible AI, You can use a tool which is given by Bedrock, which is like guardrail. This guardrail was created for a kind of restricting you. I'll show you a demo. There is a lab for you in guardrail, okay, which you can complete maybe in 5-10 minutes. All these labs will not take much time. If you're a newcomer, the good thing I liked about the portal is the documentation is perfect. If you understand what I'm trying to tell, you know the subject, going and just mimicking it there will not take time. If you don't understand, it will be very tough to really, why did I do the lab? That should not come. That is pretty dangerous. It's okay to do a lab and have doubts. How did it connect? What happened? That is natural, right? So guardrail is different from set of security service which has been given like IAM, KMS, VPC. They're part of a general security guidelines. Some tools and services have been built for GenAI by AWS. Okay. Why using guardrail? See, guardrail was created by AWS for controlling what goes from the prompt to the server. Can I restrict what is going in and out? We'll talk about that in detail, Bukola, with an example. Okay. What's the last point? Integration to the other tools, marketplace, cross app standard, using Q business to look at integration to multiple apps. That's your 17th point. Now, these points need not have a sequence because sometimes your project itself is in the 17th. You want to connect to the Slack and SharePoint and make a prompt-based interface for your intranet, means you're only operating 17. While you're building 17, you will go to the 16 and then you'll go to the 15, then you'll go to the 13. Okay.
And that's a wrap for today's video. You have just learned the framework that makes all the difference. While most people are stuck learning tools, you have learned how architects think. And that's the kind of mindset that can set you apart and help you land those high-paying AI roles. So now that you know how to assess whether a project needs AI, how to build scalable systems with RAG, and why agents are so important, and why non-functional requirements are key. This is the kind of knowledge that gets you hired. And before you go, don't forget to download a free guide that contains 50 AWS AIML interview questions and answers. And also, if you found this video helpful, do share it with someone who is also working hard to break into AI or level up their skills. And if you got any questions or feedback, make sure that you drop them in the comments below. We read every single one of them and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So thanks for watching and make sure that you watch this video next.